Marilyn Monroe, a name that echoes through the annals of Hollywood history, is synonymous with glamour, beauty, and a complex persona that has captivated generations. Beyond her film career and iconic status, Monroe's life was filled with a blend of personal and professional triumphs and tribulations. One intriguing aspect of her life that encapsulates her status as a 1950s icon is her ownership of a 1956 Ford Thunderbird. This car, emblematic of luxury and style, is as legendary as Monroe herself. The relationship between Monroe and her Thunderbird is filled with fascinating details, blending the worlds of Hollywood stardom and classic American automotive culture. Before diving into the connection between Monroe and her Ford Thunderbird, it's important to understand the car's place in automotive history. The Ford Thunderbird, introduced in 1955, was Ford's answer to the Chevrolet Corvette. However, unlike the Corvette, which was marketed as a pure sports car, the Thunderbird was designed to be a personal luxury car, blending performance with comfort and style. The 1956 Ford Thunderbird was part of the first generation of this iconic model, which ran from 1955 to 1957. It was a two-seater convertible, designed with a sleek, low-slung body, and it became a symbol of 1950s Americana. The 1956 model included several updates from the original 1955 version, most notably the addition of a removable porthole hardtop and a rear-mounted spare tire to free up trunk space. The Thunderbird was powered by a 312 cubic inch V8 engine, which produced 225 horsepower. This provided a strong performance for the time, with a top speed of around 113 mph and a 0 to 60 mph time of around 9.4 seconds. The car's design featured a long hood, a short rear deck, and chrome accents that highlighted its elegant yet sporty aesthetic. The porthole windows in the hardtop, a distinctive feature of the 1956 model, became one of the most recognizable design elements of the Thunderbird. The interior of the Thunderbird was designed with comfort and luxury in mind, featuring padded seats, a sophisticated dashboard layout, and options for power windows and a push-button radio. The Thunderbird quickly became a symbol of success and status, appealing to the affluent and style-conscious buyers of the 1950s. Its blend of luxury, performance, and aesthetic appeal made it a favorite among celebrities, including Marilyn Monroe. The Ford Thunderbird was more than just a car. It became a cultural icon. It was featured in numerous movies, TV shows, and advertisements, embodying the spirit of post-war American prosperity. The car's image was associated with freedom, individuality, and the good life, making it a perfect match for the image-conscious culture of Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe received her 1956 Ford Thunderbird as a gift in December 1955 from her business partner and close friend, photographer Milton Green. Green had become an integral part of Monroe's life after they met during a photo shoot in 1953. Recognizing her desire for greater control over her career, Green helped Monroe establish Marilyn Monroe Productions in 1955, a bold move that allowed her to take charge of her film projects and career trajectory. The Thunderbird was a symbol of this new chapter in Monroe's life. At the time, she was one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood, and the car was a fitting representation of her success, independence, and the new direction she was taking both personally and professionally. Marilyn Monroe's relationship with her Thunderbird went beyond the typical owner-car dynamic. The car represented a sense of freedom and escape for Monroe, who was often overwhelmed by the pressures of fame and the demands of her career. Driving the Thunderbird allowed Monroe to step away from the spotlight and enjoy moments of solitude and reflection. Monroe was frequently seen driving the Thunderbird around Hollywood and Los Angeles, making it a regular fixture in her daily life. The image of Monroe behind the wheel of the sleek black Thunderbird became an iconic representation of her status as a Hollywood star. One of the most significant moments involving Monroe and her Thunderbird was her marriage to playwright Arthur Miller on June 29, 1956. Monroe and Miller drove the Thunderbird to their civil wedding ceremony in White Plains, New York. The car, which had become a symbol of Monroe's success and independence, was now part of one of the most important days of her life. This moment added to the car's mystique, as it was not just a luxury item, but a participant in the personal milestones of one of the most famous women in the world. The image of Monroe and Miller in the Thunderbird on their wedding day is one that has been etched into the annals of Hollywood history. The Thunderbird played a role in shaping Monroe's public image during the late 1950s. At a time when she was seeking to redefine her career and break free from the typecasting that had confined her to dumb blonde roles, the Thunderbird became a symbol of her sophistication and her status as a powerful, independent woman. Monroe was often photographed with the car, and it became part of her glamorous image. The sleek lines of the Thunderbird and its luxurious features mirrored Monroe's own blend of elegance and allure, making the car a perfect extension of her persona. For Marilyn Monroe, the Thunderbird was more than just a car. It was a symbol of her independence and autonomy. At a time when women in Hollywood were often controlled by the studio system, Monroe's ownership of the Thunderbird represented her desire to take control of her own life and career. The car also symbolized Monroe's success. By 1955, she was one of the highest-paid actresses in Hollywood, and the Thunderbird, with its luxury and performance, was a fitting representation of her status. The car was a way for Monroe to express her success on her own terms, outside of the roles and images that had been imposed on her by others. After Marilyn Monroe's death in 1962, her Thunderbird became a sought-after collector's item. The car's association with Monroe, combined with its status as a classic American car, made it a valuable piece of memorabilia. Over the years, the Thunderbird changed hands several times, with each new owner recognizing the historical and cultural significance of the vehicle. In 2018, the Thunderbird was sold at auction for $490,000, a price that reflected not only the car's intrinsic value as a classic, but also its connection to Monroe. The sale highlighted the enduring fascination with Marilyn Monroe and the lasting impact she had on American culture. The preservation and restoration of Marilyn Monroe's Thunderbird have been carefully undertaken to maintain the car's original condition. The car has been meticulously restored to its 1956 appearance, with the black exterior and white interior fully preserved. The restoration process involved sourcing original parts and materials to ensure that the car remained true to its original design. The attention to detail in the restoration of the Thunderbird is a testament to the car's historical significance. It is not just a vehicle, but a piece of Hollywood history, and its preservation is important for future generations who are interested in both automotive history and the legacy of Marilyn Monroe. While the Thunderbird itself did not feature prominently in Monroe's films, it was a regular part of her public life during the late 1950s. Monroe was often photographed arriving at film premieres, parties, and other public events in her Thunderbird, and these images helped to cement the car's place in the public's perception of Monroe. Marilyn Monroe's Cadillac was a 1954 model, a year when the Series 62 had undergone significant design changes. The 1954 Cadillac Series 62 convertible was a car that turned heads with its sleek lines, elegant curves, and powerful V8 engine. It featured a long, low body with dramatic tail fins, which were becoming a hallmark of Cadillac's design language during this era. The car's exterior was adorned with chrome accents, and it boasted a luxurious interior with plush seats, a sophisticated dashboard, and advanced features for its time. Monroe's Cadillac was finished in a pale pink color, a shade that not only highlighted the car's design, but also became closely associated with Monroe herself. Pink was a color that symbolized femininity, softness, and glamour, all qualities that Monroe embodied. The choice of a pink Cadillac was more than just a preference for a pretty color. It was a reflection of Monroe's carefully crafted image, one that blended vulnerability with allure and innocence with sensuality. Monroe was often seen driving her Cadillac around Hollywood, and the car became a regular part of her public life. Whether she was heading to film sets, attending premieres, or simply enjoying a drive, the image of Monroe behind the wheel of her Cadillac added to her mystique. The car, with its luxurious design and association with success, complemented Monroe's status as one of the most sought-after actresses in the world. One of the most significant moments involving Monroe and her Cadillac was during the filming of The 7-Year Itch in 1954. The movie featured one of Monroe's most iconic scenes, where she stands over a subway grate, her white dress billowing up as a train passes below. This scene has become one of the most enduring images of Monroe, symbolizing her sex appeal and star power. During the filming of The 7-Year Itch, Monroe was often photographed arriving on set in her Cadillac. These images, showing Monroe stepping out of her pink convertible, contributed to the car's status as an icon of Hollywood glamour. The Cadillac was not just a vehicle, it was part of the spectacle, part of the aura that surrounded Monroe wherever she went. Monroe's Cadillac also played a role in her personal life. The car was a symbol of her success, but it was also a place where she could find a sense of escape from the pressures of fame. Monroe was known to enjoy driving, and her Cadillac offered her a sense of freedom and independence. Behind the wheel, she could momentarily step away from the demands of her career and the public's constant scrutiny. However, like many aspects of Monroe's life, her relationship with the Cadillac was marked by contrasts. While the car represented luxury and success, it also highlighted the loneliness and isolation that often accompanied her fame. Despite being one of the most famous women in the world, Monroe's personal life was fraught with difficulties, and her Cadillac, though a symbol of her achievements, could not shield her from the challenges she faced. Monroe's ownership of the Cadillac also reflected the changing role of women in the 1950s. At a time when women were often expected to adhere to traditional roles, Monroe's independence and her ownership of such a prestigious car were signs of the shifting social landscape. Monroe was not just a passive figure in her life. She was actively shaping her destiny, and the Cadillac was a part of that narrative. The Cadillac Series 62 convertible, like Monroe herself, has become a symbol of 1950s culture. The car represents a time of post-war prosperity, when America was experiencing economic growth and an optimistic outlook on the future. The Cadillac, with its luxurious design and powerful performance, was a reflection of the American dream, and Monroe's ownership of the car tied her even more closely to this ideal. After Marilyn Monroe's tragic death in 1962, her Cadillac, like many of her possessions, became a valuable and sought-after collectible. The car's association with Monroe added to its allure, making it a piece of Hollywood history. Over the years, the Cadillac changed hands several times, with each new owner recognizing its significance as a piece of memorabilia connected to one of the most iconic figures in popular culture. The story of Marilyn Monroe and her Cadillac Series 62 convertible is a tale of glamour, success, and the complexities of fame. The car, with its luxurious design and association with Monroe, is a symbol of a bygone era, a time when Hollywood was at the height of its golden age, and Monroe was its brightest star. Monroe's relationship with her Cadillac was a reflection of her public and private lives. The car was a symbol of her success and independence, but it also represented the pressures and expectations that came with her fame. One of the lesser-known aspects of her life is her ownership of a 1950 Plymouth. This car, while not as glamorous as some of the other vehicles she owned, offers a glimpse into Monroe's early years before she became a household name. The 1950 Plymouth was a practical and modest vehicle, a far cry from the luxury cars that Monroe would later be associated with. Plymouth, a brand under Chrysler, was known for producing reliable, affordable cars for the average American family. The 1950 Plymouth model came at a time when the automotive industry was rebounding from the effects of World War II, with manufacturers focusing on creating durable and accessible vehicles for the post-war population. Monroe's Plymouth was part of the Deluxe line, which was one of the more popular models offered by the brand during that era. The car featured a straightforward design, with a sturdy frame, rounded fenders, and a simple yet functional interior. Under the hood, the Plymouth was powered by a 6-cylinder engine that delivered modest performance, emphasizing reliability over speed or luxury. At the time Monroe owned her Plymouth, she was still in the early stages of her career. She had not yet reached the pinnacle of fame that would later define her life, and her choice of vehicle reflected her status as an actress trying to make a name for herself in Hollywood. The Plymouth was not a car that screamed wealth or success. Instead, it was a practical choice for a young woman navigating the challenges of the entertainment industry. The car was a part of Monroe's daily life as she went to auditions, acting classes, and small film roles. The Plymouth served as a dependable companion during a period when Monroe was still trying to establish herself and secure more prominent roles in films. It was in this car that she likely spent hours driving around Los Angeles, working hard to make her dreams of stardom come true. Monroe's ownership of the Plymouth also reflects her humble beginnings. Born as Norma Jean Mortensen, Monroe had a difficult childhood, marked by instability and a lack of financial security. As she transitioned into the world of modeling and acting, Monroe was still very much in touch with her roots. The Plymouth, while not glamorous, was a symbol of her determination and her willingness to work hard to achieve her goals. The Plymouth also offered Monroe a sense of independence. In the early 1950s, car ownership for women was still a symbol of freedom and autonomy. For Monroe, driving her Plymouth around Los Angeles represented a step toward independence, allowing her to navigate the city on her own terms and manage her career without relying on others. As Monroe's career began to take off in the early 1950s, she slowly transitioned away from the modest Plymouth to more luxurious vehicles. As she gained fame and financial success, Monroe's cars became symbols of her growing status in Hollywood. The Plymouth, however, remained a significant part of her early years, representing a time when she was still fighting to make a name for herself in a highly competitive industry. The story of Marilyn Monroe and her 1950 Plymouth is a reminder that even the most glamorous icons have humble beginnings. The car serves as a testament to Monroe's determination, her work ethic, and her journey from Norma Jean to Marilyn Monroe, the Hollywood star. It is a story that highlights the more relatable aspects of Monroe's life, showing that before she became a symbol of beauty and glamour, she was just a young woman trying to find her way in the world. Monroe's connection to her Plymouth may not be as well known as her associations with other luxury cars, but it is a vital part of her history. The car represents a chapter in her life when she was still on the rise, a period of hard work and perseverance that ultimately led to her becoming one of the most iconic figures in popular culture. The Plymouth was not just a vehicle. It was a silent witness to the early struggles and successes of a woman who would go on to capture the hearts of millions.